Good afternoon, everybody. I have today been out on a scooter, and what else have I done? I've been out today. It's freezing out there, really cold out there. Then after that, I came back home, wound my wife up a little bit more, and a little bit more. Do you know that song? A little bit more, you know. Anyway, oh no, it's right.
Hello,
Hello, Beth. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Okay, 2 seconds, 2 minutes. So anyway, so I kind of like had a really good day. This morning I went out on my scooter, went along the road, everything, and all of a sudden, guess what? Stephen here needs a driving test. I went into a ballard and with my scooter and damaged my scooter, but there you go. So I thought I was having a bad day, but I wasn't. So that was it. Then I went through this country lane to come back home, and guess what happened to me? Which hasn't told my wife yet. I've got chased by a dog on my scooter. Anyway, that's the bad thing that's happened to me today, Beth.
What was that in the background?
I think someone was saying, I bet the dog caught you then. Anyway, Beth, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you. It's lovely to be here again.
Yes, so what are we going to talk about? What have you got exciting for me today?
Oh,
I've been looking forward to it all day.
you charmer.
Oh, yes.
Well, I was thinking about the conversation we had last time, and at one point you said something like, "Oh, and did you feel really guilty about your drinking and things?" And at the time, I said, No, I didn't really feel guilt. I felt shame and, anger and things like that. But I think on reflection, that was me looking now as a healed person back to then. But I think you're right. I think I did probably feel some guilt at the time, and it just kind of sparked off a load of thoughts about guilt that I maybe just wanted to share.
All right. I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, it's good. It's good because it's all
Okay.
progress, it's all development, it's all knowledge, isn't it? So knowledge is power.
Okay. Okay.
So, and you're never done, are you? There's always more to grow and learn and develop in yourself. And yeah, I just wanted to share in case it's useful for other people. But I was just thinking about how guilt is just a really unhelpful emotion. Like, fear, primary emotion. It's useful because at times it can mean the difference between life and death. It can mean you reacting quickly or keeping away from a dangerous situation and things like that. So, that's a useful emotion. But guilt is a tough one. I think a lot of us feel guilt that we don't need to don't need to feel. I think that's probably my first point. I think like we have misplaced shame sometimes. I think a lot of us blame ourselves for situations that couldn't actually be helped by anyone. Um, and then there's the guilt for things that you have done wrong, where you actually need to feel it. I know that there are people listening to this show regularly who are in abusive relationships. And I think it's possible that both the abused and the abuser could be feeling guilt. And the reason it's not helpful, obviously, for the abused person is that, it keeps them in a disempowered situation where they feel it's their fault that they're being abused. And so how can they possibly leave it? They've brought it on themselves. It's also not helpful for the abuser because guilt's quite a difficult and painful thing to sit with because it's a red flag. It's basically telling us that we've we've transgressed our own values. Right? We've let ourselves down. And I was saying last week about how one of the great ways to build self-trust and self-esteem is to admit to yourself, really admit to yourself when you've messed up, to just be honest about it. And the thing about guilt is that because it's difficult to sit with, a lot of people, they're just in denial. They try to avoid it by maybe doing more abusive behavior or doing avoidant behaviors or drinking too much, stuff like that, to actually cope with the guilt. But the guilt keeps them in a situation where, because it makes them feel bad, they're not able to take the next step, which is to kind of go, okay, I need to take responsibility for this behavior. I need to take responsibility for what's happened. And I need to think of ways to make amends and to make change. And in order to take that next step, to take responsibility and to start making change, you have to stop hating yourself. We were talking about this last week. It's really important to forgive yourself first for what you've done, so that you can take the necessary steps needed out of that behavior, because that's the real result that you want to get. But as I say, so many people who know that they're behaving in a way that makes them feel bad inside, that makes them feel guilty, they can't get out of that cycle because they can't face the guilt long enough to go, okay, and now I'm going to go through it and come out the other side. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
I'm glad you brought that up because really I've been through quite a bit of that. When I was around about 18, 16, I used to go with my dad a lot, drinking and everything, and I got into a relationship with somebody, and I kind of like was a bit of an alcoholic, and I was arrested on a few times. Well, I don't mind sharing it, if it's going to help other people, I don't, it's not, I ain't got nothing to hide. But the trouble is, I kind of like got arrested a few times because the drink for me and the guilt what was happening for me when I was younger made me drink.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it was like it was a coping, it was something coping, and I had to have a drink because I couldn't deal with what happened to me in the past with abusive relationship. And soon I kind of like took the drink. I found out myself that I was the actual perpetrator too, behind it.
Mm.
And I remember a certain time where I once in my life I had to go and get help because if I didn't, not only I lose my wife, but I lose my family.
Mm.
And um, and I remember going to these group sessions and everything. And and when you go into this group, they go, "Oh, you're nothing. You're just a perpetrator." And they're totally right. They're totally right. What did you do? Things like that. So we went through it. And next minute they said to me, okay, so it's one good thing that you're here. Do you want to change?
Mm.
Then you get all the guilt coming up all the time. I'm not good enough. No one's going to kind of like forgive me and nothing like that. You know what I mean? And I felt like I just felt useless. And I remember I kept on going back to the group, kept on going back to the group, and because I promised my wife and everybody else to do it. And when there was a certain video that came on inside that group, and I got out of my chair, I went down to my knees, and I said, really, whatever I do, I'm really, really sorry.
Mm.
I am really, really sorry. And from then, there was complete change. My wife would tell you it was complete change. I was, and I kept on saying to the people who was running it, you know, just lock me up, took the key away. I don't
Mm.
deserve it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't know what I was doing. I was just kind of like drink, 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 and I got to a point where that I was aggressive in my drinking.
Mhm.
It could be my friends, it could be anybody, it could be my partner, and I came to a point in my life where I'm not doing this no more. And I shouldn't be taking it on people. And from today, it still haunts me because
Mm.
for what I've done and the people that I've hurt in my life.
So it's amazing that you managed to make such a change. What thoughts do you think you had that allowed you to go, right, I'm stopping this now, it's all going to change?
Well,
What
I
do you
don't,
think to yourself?
when you're kind of like when you are when you've been called a perpetrator, and you're a person who's kind of like doing these things, it's like number one, you shouldn't be doing it. You know, full stop. You shouldn't be doing it.
Mm.
But the drink was making me so. They said to me, either you get out. So I went for those classes. That was about my anger. Next minute, they said to me, I needed to go to a place in painting for 3 months to get for rehab
Right.
for my alcohol, for my alcohol,
Mm.
you know. And I did. I went along and got the help for what I had to get, you know. And I said, and everybody was there who was older than me then, and they said to me, "Oh well, you don't know nothing. You haven't been through anything." I said, "Yes, I have." I said, and I just stood up and said what I've done, why I drink, and everything. And after 3 months, I came back as a different person, and I'm not going to go back into that again. Never go back into that again. I've learnt my lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, some of it was illness. I mean, I definitely did some stuff I'm not proud of, such as getting really drunk and shouting a lot and saying nasty
Mm.
things to people and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah, which can be incredibly painful. It's emotional abuse, they class it as now. And I was definitely like that to some of my nearest and dearest, and it was just pain, lashing out, and all that sort of thing. And I had depression, I had anxiety. So to some degree, you know, um, that was a function of the illness. It's not to excuse it. You still have the responsibility to change your behaviors and in terms of how you react with other people and things, and how you manage your emotions so that you're not taking them out on other people. But obviously, that they happened in the first place because I was ill. Because I mean, that's
Mm.
the thing about mental illness, is that there needs to be a certain amount of self-compassion in order to move forward through that sort of guilt and go, okay,
Mm.
so I'm ill, I need help. And it was great that you were able to accept help.
Mm. I didn't really want to. I didn't really want to. I didn't even really want the help. I didn't really, at first I thought, oh, this is a complete bloody waste of time. That's what I kept on saying to myself.
Mm.
And the trouble is, you'll see, someone said to me once, if you want to get yourself sorted out, you've got to
Yeah,
go through the rough to get to the good times.
yeah.
And that's true. You've got to go through. You will have to go through the bad times to get to the good times. I know like someone who were I had a partner who were being beaten up by my best friend of mine, one of my best friends, and he said, "Well, she deserved it. She deserved it," and all this lot. And I said, "No woman or bloke deserves being abused,
Hmm.
or what?" And they said, "Oh yeah, but she did." She said, "The trouble is with people, with she," and I said. Now that's kind of to explain, and the trouble is with men for a long time they've been putting women down on a pedestal for a long time, right? They don't belong in the kitchen. People say, oh, I used to say, oh, they belong in the kitchen. But yeah, they don't belong in the kitchen. Men and women are equal
Hmm.
in my view, right? And we're both equal, so we don't need to abuse each other. We need to just get on together and love each other more. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. Absolutely, I'm very much a feminist myself, and but I'm so fascinated by your story, and I wonder if you can pinpoint what the thought was, because you said, I know I didn't really want to do it at first, and I think you were intimating that essentially, your loved ones had said you're just going to lose your whole family if you don't do something. But the thing is that there are lots of people who are threatened with that, and they still can't change. They can't find a way to stop the abuse. They can't find a way to stop the drinking or the drugs or whatever it is.
Because they
And they
don't want to do it. They don't want to do it.
yeah. So what was the thought that you had then that made you go, right,
My
changing?
fault. I didn't have a choice. I kind of like, I just completely had enough of life all the time. I was trying to explain to somebody the other day.
Mm,
I came to a point where the first point I came to was the problem of it. I had to admit that I had the problem.
mm,
We can all go around and say, yeah, I do this and I do that. I'm a tough guy and all that. But you've got to sometimes soften yourself down and say, like better self care, say, and say, I've got a problem. I'm a man. I've got a problem, and I've got to admit about it, and I've got to do something about it.
mm,
Right now, my problem at that time when I was full of drink, it was like I wanted to commit suicide over a bridge.
mm,
I'd one leg over the bridge and the other leg over here. No, and but I think that then and there, at that point, I keep saying to people that my faith kind of helped me.
mm,
I came back to my faith again, in God. So at
mm,
that certain point, because something came to me, which I can't explain, but it came to me, and I thought, oh my goodness, it's somebody loves me, things like that, and that was it. But then I was put on the mental, I was put on the Section 21 of the Mental Health Act,
section, yeah. Hmm.
and I had to get out. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I've been there, and
yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
good.
It's such an amazing story, and
Mm.
it brings me to the other thing that I wanted to chat about today, which is about role models, about how important it is to have role models. So there's role models in the way where you go, okay, so who's your role model? Like one of my role models is Sylvester Stallone. He's absolutely incredible. The resilience with which he followed his passion and everything he was willing to give up for it and everything. And the way he is now, the way he just is constantly giving back, with inspirational messages for others, and sort of, keeps going back to the fact that he was so poor and things, and he was going, look, you see, if I can do it, I'm nothing special. If I can do it, you can do it, and that's so incredibly generous of him. So there's
Mm.
that kind of role model, but also when you are trying to make some sort of change, some sort of behavior change, or maybe give up a habit, or start a new habit, maybe giving up smoking or getting into exercise or whatever, it's really useful to look around you and find other people who have already become successful at what it is that you want to do. It's like a key neurolinguistic programming technique. It's called modeling excellence. So if there's something you want to do, it's a bit like in the Matrix, where
Yeah,
where the woman's got to suddenly fly a helicopter and she's got no idea how to do it, but like she sort of reads this
yeah,
program
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for a bit and then suddenly she can do it. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's that kind of process where um, if you're trying to make a change, it's really hard to do it alone, and it's really useful to have a model. And so I encourage my clients to, whatever it is they're trying to change. Like say, I've got a lot of clients who are trying to find love at the moment. They're trying to change their dating strategy. So I say, well, look, have you got any friends who've got, happy relationships? And they're like, oh yeah, there's so and so and so and so. And I set them the task of actually interviewing these friends, sitting down with a glass of wine and saying, so what is it you do? What is it you tell yourself? What is it you say to your partner? What do they say to you? And actually, getting ideas from what's worked, because our unconscious mind, it doesn't like change. As I've said before, it finds change really scary. But if there's someone in your life who's already doing it, somebody you kind of know and trust, right, then actually the unconscious mind goes, okay, so someone else in my tribe's made this change and it hasn't killed them, so maybe it's okay for me to make that change too. And also, if you don't like sort of know in real life someone like that, sometimes a character in a book can be really inspiring, or maybe a character on the television or something, where you get some insight into their motivations. What is it that's allowing them to behave so confidently, for instance? What is it that's allowing them to do this and say that? It's just really useful. So I was just wondering if you had any sort of role models, and like maybe big ones like Sly Stallone, and maybe there's changes you've made where maybe a mate said something inspirational, you thought, oh yeah, it's worked for them, so is anything like that going on for you?
I haven't got any role models. What I have got is some people that I look up to and aspire more. Every single person that comes on my podcast is a credit, and I'm blessed because I get a lot of people every day come on my podcast, and the things they come out with is helped me to grow as a person, and I'm so honored to kind of like get to know them. There is a few that you are kind of I really really look up to and say only because they've been through problems like yourself. I look at you as a role model as well because what you've been through. I'm not trying to say that because you're there. I'm just saying this is what and I think at the end of the day, I think I don't go for role models. I look at a person and say, if you can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah,
You know?
that's absolutely it, isn't it? That is absolutely
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Is that all of us have that potential, all of us have that amazing capability to renew and remake and recreate our lives in a better
Mm,
way.
mm,
And it's just, yeah, really useful, isn't it? And that's what's so wonderful about this podcast, is that you are providing people who tune in and watch with a stream of inspirational people who are just real normal people with mortgages to pay and shit,
mm,
just normal people who've been through incredibly challenging things and have
mm,
managed to come out the other side smiling
mm,
and feeling that life is perhaps almost the richer for it. I have to say,
mm,
where I am in my life, I'm grateful for every single minute of my life, all the
mm,
bad stuff, all the scary stuff, because it's
mm,
made me who I am today.
And you have been through quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you've actually, you can kind of like I'll call all my podcasts. I don't know if you've seen my latest podcast, but on the radio, but or sorry, heard it. But I put I call all my guests on my podcast champions because every one of them has been through something.
Quite
You know
right.
what I mean? And
Quite.
and that's what I call them because everyone is, But I just think that we go through rough times, and sometimes things happen for a reason. And when we get through the rough times, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel that you got to keep on striving for. I'm going to tell you something now. I was speaking to somebody this morning when I was out, and I had to go. I just taken over a group, a stroke club. I used because I had a stroke. I I've just taken over a local stroke club where I am, and
Cool.
I was speaking to the person who used to run it, and his friend came down, and he said, "Relationships," he says, right? I thought, "Oh, don't you start." And it was a bit of banter going on, and he said, "Do you know what, Steve?" He said, "I met somebody a while back, and I didn't think they would go for me." I said, "Why?" They says, "Because I felt that I was not nice, or I wasn't my looks and that." Because women they look for the looks and everything. I said, "Well, I'm not a woman, and I don't fancy you." Like that. But it's a bit of banter. But then he said to then she came out of her car,
Hmm.
right? And I thought, "You're lucky. You got a gorgeous wife, gorgeous partner, you know." And what you got to do now is you've got to go over to her and say to her that say that you love her. And he said, "Oh, I get embarrassed." I said, "You get embarrassed to tell your wife that." So he went over and said, "I love you." Then she kind of looked at me, winked at me, and said, "Thank you." It's kind of it happens, doesn't it? It's about life. And he thought that she would never marry him. She was she even told me that too, because he kept on putting himself down all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the awful thing about lack of self-confidence. If you put yourself down enough, obviously you start to believe it. And if you do it out loud enough, the other
Mm,
person starts to believe it. Yeah, it's really
mm,
difficult. And you can sometimes get into a dynamic where you don't think you deserve the partner. So
yeah.
you actually start thinking there must be something wrong with the partner because why
Mm,
can't they see all your faults? Why are they loving you anyway? And if
mm,
anything, you sort of sabotage the relationship or even start putting that partner down because you think, well, you must be crazy if you're into me. So I'm not going to treat you with respect. And you get into that sort of dynamic. So it's great that you created a positive circle there of him expressing.
well, I was just kind of like I was just there, and I just think it was funny. I just think how it was funny, but he kept on putting himself down, so I kind of like try to turn the thing and say, "Look, you know." And I said, "Did you hear what your old man was saying about, for joke?" I said that you thought that you didn't fancy him, things like that. Well, and the trouble is, so I'm not trying to be funny, but some women are like that, or don't they? But with men, they go, "Right, oh God, he's like tall, 7 foot, 6 foot, or whatever, muscular built. I love that one. I'm all right. I'm after, it's true, isn't it?"
Yeah, I think it is, and I think so. A lot of that is to do with societal values, the pressure on men as well as women to look good, etc. I think it's also to do with a lack of self confidence. Is that you're kind of almost expecting the partner to add some status and credibility to you. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, I'm going to get some reflected glory from this particularly good looking partner.
Mm,
Yeah, there's all sorts of dynamics like that totally mess with relationships, and I've certainly had clients who were doing that. They were picking gorgeous men and then realizing that they were a total doofus. They were sort of stuck with them.
well,
And they weren't really sure what it was that they did want to look for. And there are men who do exactly the same, particularly older men. I think there's men who feel that they need a good looking younger woman on their arm so that they feel good looking and younger. And yeah, it just confuses the whole process. It's not helpful, really, is it?
no.
So I've dated all sorts of men,
Mm,
from 5'4" to 6'4", all sorts of different weights and sizes and looks and all that, because what I go for is intelligence and wit. And I
mm,
think these days I go more for emotional intelligence
yeah.
than academic intelligence. But yeah,
Mm.
it's what's inside that counts, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I'll tell you a funny joke before we go. I a long time ago. I was on a dating. This is a long time ago on a dating agency, And did I tell you about the theatre at the time when I went to the theatre and I did a runner?
Right.
Well, anyway, I was on this dating agency, right?
Mhm.
And we arranged to meet at the theatre to watch some sort of play. Oh, ballet it was ballet.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I'm not interested in ballet. Anyway, uh, so I'm there, kind of like having a drink, shirt, tie, um, skinny and everything. And all of a sudden, I'm kind of like looking at the time, and all of a sudden, this person came in, quite attractive, and she came over to me. She goes, "Is your name called Steve?" I said, "No, no, my name's called James," or something like that, right? I said, "I just got to go to the toilet. Can you?" They said, "Yeah, yeah. Are you coming back?" She said to me. I said, "Yeah, I got to come back because I'm waiting for a friend or something." Oh, okay. So I went to the toilet. Then I thought, "Oh, that's it. Then I'm gone." Because when she came in, I looked at her and I thought, "Nah, she'll never go for me." Right.
Mm.
So anyway, I gets out and goes into the car and everything. Gets a phone call. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, thanks for running away from me. I said, "Hey." She said, "Yeah, thanks for running away from me." She said. I said, "Well, to tell you the truth, I thought you wouldn't like me." She said, "What did you think that for?" And that was it. And I thought, "Oh no, what have I done?" You know what I mean? And I messed that one up, didn't I? But but there you go. But it's
You live and learn. You live
I
and learn.
never I never went to see the ballet, thank God. But
Yeah, I'm not into ballet either. It's too
oh
highfalutin for me.
oh yeah, ballet.
Mm.
So I might as well just fall asleep.
But that's it, is we can never really know what it is the other person sees in us, because
Mm.
for a start, we don't even know how we look to the other person. We only know how we look in the mirror to ourselves, but the other person is looking at us not just with different eyes, different perception, but through all their cultural filters, all their ideals, all their
Mm.
previous experiences and personal tastes and things like that. So yeah, you absolutely can't tell, and that's the thing about relationships, is you've just got to take it on trust, really, haven't you?
Of course you have, yeah.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, get a role model, you know.
Absolutely, and don't do
Yeah.
guilt.
And
or
don't do guilt.
just admit your guilt and move on. Don't dwell in it and let it take you.
That's it. Move on and kind of like yeah, that's a good idea. Move on. Anyway, thank you very much. This has gone quick today.
Oh, it's a great pleasure as always.
Thank you very much for your time, and that was really good. And how's it going with everything? You've been busy.
Yeah, still busy. Yeah, I've got a new cohort of US clients, which is keeping me out of trouble. Still
Good.
really enjoying working with my private clients on all sorts of things. So yeah, it's really good. And I'm running my Bold Goals coaching circles for women again on Thursday night, and we are working with the theme of connection. So we'll be doing lots of interesting
Hang on for a second. Hang on for a
exploration.
second. Hang on for a second. Women, you're doing something for women on a
Yeah,
Thursday night.
yeah.
Okay, but in that bit of stigma here going on.
What do
Nothing
you
for men then. Nothing for men, I suppose.
mean? Everything is connected, Steve. So every woman I help is able to, be more present for her man, perhaps, or be more successful and productive in the workplace, etc. And I do have male clients too. So every man I help also, the more their heads are sorted out, the more loving and kind and open they can be in their relationships with women. So I have both male and female clients, and any gender in between, whatever, is absolutely fine, because I can help anybody sort any problem out.
Okay.
They're doing the
I
work.
was only winding you up.
I
I,
know.
I was
But
only winding you up.
yeah, this coaching circle is just for women, because they have so little time to focus on their own dreams and their own purpose. So yeah, it's just a
And
little.
what happens if people want to join you then? What happens if these lovely ladies want to join you. Can
Oh, well,
anybody join you?
yeah, the more the merrier. Yeah, absolutely. It's an hour and a half. It's £15 a session, and you get WhatsApp support in between. And yeah, it's fantastic for self-development. I'll post a link or something in the comments.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, brilliant. I might join actually. I dress up. I get through sorry, as a woman. Um, no, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Right. Okay, folks. Thank you very much, and I'll see you a bit around about 8 o'clock, I think. But in the meantime, thank you, Beth, and for your time. Goes so quick. But anyway, so look up Beth. We will stick up some links in the tube. But in the meantime, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, guys. That was Beth Penfold. What a wonderful lady. Please check up on her, and she's really good. Okay, I've got to go. See you later on. Bye bye.